So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us on this rainy day in Vienna in a conversation entitled World Premiere Online, Meet the Austrian Filmmakers. This conversation is a part of this year's industry events at Vienna Shorts Online Edition. My name is Bojana Bregar, and joining me in conducting this moderation is Neil Young, my colleague in the Austrian competition program selection team. And of course, I want to say a warm welcome to our filmmakers, all of whom had or will in the next days have world premieres of their films at Vienna Shorts Online. So we say hi to Joshua Yadi from the film The Opposite of Eternity. Hello, Joshua.
Hello.
To Christoph Schwarz, The Best City is No City at All.
Hello, hi.
To Masha Godova-Naya. The City Bridges Open Again. To Stefanie Weberhofer, to Kiss Blau Street View.
Hi.
Martin Reinhardt, The Constant Ride.
Hello.
And last but not least, Rafaela Schmidt from Fish Like Us.
Hey.
So on Friday already we could hear how the festival programmers are dealing with the current situation. So today we turn our spotlights on the filmmakers to touch base, to ask how they're dealing with their films being premiered in the early era of what we can call the new normal. So I would just start this just asking you personally, some of you already had the premiere here at the Vienna Shorts Online Edition, and some you will in the following days. How did you watch the films, or your film especially, and how, if you haven't yet, how are you planning to? Is there any plans to make more festive, maybe organize watching parties? Are you taking care of the atmosphere? Joshua, I think you will have to start.
All right. Yeah, we did meet up all in the WhatsApp group, actually. So the thing was that we were all over the country and we couldn't meet. So we did it like that. I watched it together with my mother on the couch. And it was very nice. So she could see it also. And we sent each other photos. So I liked it, actually. It was also afterwards, actually, after the whole screening had happened, we spent, I think, about an hour in the WhatsApp chat talking to each other and catching up on our lives, what we are doing right now, where we are. So it was actually a nice get-together.
I was also in the, because we have this option to meet in Vevox on the chat. Maybe if you, for maybe everyone that hasn't tried it yet, it's quite nice after the program to chat with the filmmakers who are present there. So we had some conversations there as well.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
So Christoph.
I think it was the first premiere which I didn't attend of one of my films. We have been in the countryside and we decided to stay there rather than going online. But I came back for this chat, but it was very surreal for me to think that this is the premiere now. And my film is also like coming from an art context, so there was also a small screening for like people and artists involved already. So it was not a big thing anymore. But I totally missed this social interaction of festivals and also this chat where we talked about the films afterwards. It was like a total different setting where you have like one question and then you wait 2 minutes, then you get an answer. So it was, I think that was not really working for me.
So, Masha?
Well, my film is coming up on June 2nd. But I had another film played in Ann Arbor Film Festival, which just happened online. And we've together with Steffi on the same program. And I found these editions of the online festivals more like an act of solidarity, like because the cinema has to go on regardless and despite of anything. But I do miss the interactions. I think the festival is some kind of a different way of getting together and watching films together in a space. Like, you're basically breathing the same air, or you're laughing at the same jokes. So I miss that, like in general. And of course, you also get the different reactions for the film. I mean, you don't have to go verbal, then you just see that the audience is reacting to, especially to your film, or you can watch it and you can hear. So that, of course, is missed. But despite the difficulties, I think it's important to kind of extend our gestures of support to the festivals, which are, without our participation, can disappear. So I hope it's just temporarily, and in a year we will get together.
I think we all, I guess we all share that thing. Maybe someone will now come out with a different view. Stephanie, perhaps?
Not a different view, unfortunately. No, it did not really feel like a premiere or like a film screening at all, actually. I mean, I watched it and I was there, and the chat with the app afterwards was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, in the last month, I was participating at 3 other festivals, like Ann Arbor with Mascha and Oberhausen, and the Diagonale thing on Flimit, and yeah, I think it does not get better. I'm more and more getting bored of watching films online. So yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing for sure, and I'm very happy that the festivals do it like this. But it's not what I prefer.
Martin.
Yes, I very much agree with what Mascha said, that it's really a sign of solidarity, and I think that it, apart from all personal, feelings about missing something, it's so important to give those film festivals our support. I mean, they are our main communication tool, and without them, our work would not be visible. And so I think it's kind of only fair that we try to communicate with the community, even if we don't see them. And I think that this will somehow end soon or later. But I'm very much looking forward, of course, to the next Vienna International Short Festival, as I was there last year. And of course, yeah, sure, everyone misses the crowd and the cinema and being amongst people. But I think it's such a great thing that you keep on moving and don't complain and just do your thing, even if it's difficult. And I think this is a very important message, not just to cancel and say, okay, sorry, we're closed. Come back next year. So thank you.
Okay.
There is one more thing I'd like to add here. Maybe I think it's for me it was really interesting that I can watch all the movies of the other filmmakers online. That I can, of course, I miss the feeling in the theaters, but it was very comfortable sitting at home and rewatching stuff. So.
Yes, Rafaela, maybe you you give us your view, and then we can maybe discuss what Christoph here said, because we have a little bit of a pro and con prepared.
So our premiere is tomorrow, so there hasn't been a party yet, and there isn't really a thing planned, so I didn't plan anything. We are a quite big team, so it's not really possible to fit all these people in my flat. So I guess we'll all be watching it online and have an exchange about it, maybe via WhatsApp or some other channel. And then there's going to be the Q&A in this chat room. But I guess the real party, that's going to be postponed to some point where we can really interact with each other and see each other physically.
Thank you. Neil, you have a question perhaps on this point?
Yeah, well, it's not really on that point, but it's more sort of about the idea of the premiere, because all of the filmmakers that we have with us today are having their world premiere of their films as part of Vienna Short. So we're very grateful to all of the filmmakers that they have agreed to do that, because obviously the choice could have gone other ways. There are other ways of showing a film. And maybe I could ask sort of two questions to everybody. Number one, did you consider to wait until a physical festival could take place to show the film? Was that ever a possibility? And also, do you consider this to be the world premiere, or is this, for you, is the real world premiere something later? How does the concept of the premiere exist in your mind, or does it exist, or is a film just a film? So maybe if we start with Stephanie on that one. What do you think, Stephanie?
I consider it as a world premiere for sure. And with this film, Türkisblau Street View, I did not want to postpone it. It's about the Ibiza Gate, and the timing is perfect. Yeah, it's 1 year after Ibiza, so I don't want to wait here any longer. Yeah, so I also have another film in the Film Art Love extra program. And with this one, I was thinking of postponing it because it was made on analog film and is meant to be shown on analog film. And so obviously this cannot find place now. But yeah, I also thought, no, it's better to show it than not to show it at all. I was just considering it to postpone at the beginning when I did not know how long this whole Corona thing will be. But yeah, I soon realized it.
And so the next time that the film is screened, if it is shown physically, did you describe that as sort of world theatrical premiere? I mean, is that something you think about?
Well, for this film I'm talking about, Kopierwerk, I had the theatrical premiere.
No, sorry. Yeah, just to be clear, I meant Türkisblau. Because as I say, this is a world premiere here, but if it shows next time physically, what do you then call that?
No, I think it's okay. I think it's okay that it was an online premiere, and yeah, maybe call it physical premiere, but yeah, the whole world premiere, it was here, and that's okay. Yeah.
Because in certainly for festivals and for once commercial companies like sales agents get involved, the exact naming of the nature of the premiere can become very important, and maybe for the public, maybe for the audience, it's something that isn't a big deal, but it can be in terms of the industry. Yeah. Just to say, if people watching at home can ask questions via the YouTube chat box, which is just next to the screen. We're going to keep an eye on that. So if you have a question for any of our filmmakers, we are monitoring that. So yeah, maybe if I'd ask the same question to Rafaela, was it in your mind to wait, and do you consider this to be sort of a proper world premiere?
For me, this is the online premiere, and then there's going to be a premiere in a movie theater. And I also don't want to compare those two things, because for me, these are entirely different things. And I think this solution now with the online festivals, for me, it's kind of a compromise and a temporary solution, because I guess nobody knew how long, or still we don't know how long this is going to last. And so everybody had to adapt. So this is also why I chose to show the film online here for the first time. But of course, we shot on 16 millimeters, so it's an analog film. And of course, I'm also looking forward to a premiere in a movie theater. And I also think that it's this collective experience together with the audience. That's something you can't compare to an online premiere. So,
and of course, your film it's set in it's a Chinese restaurant, and it's very much about how people interact physically.
Yeah.
and some of them are not distancing in this film. Let's put it like that. So it's a film which really takes on a different dimension if you're sitting watching it with strangers, really, because the film is about how people sort of have their own world, and then there are little worlds next to them. So
Yeah.
just like being in a cinema.
Yeah, and also for me, it's a. Excuse me, did I interrupt?
No, go on, keep going.
And it's a big part of how the audience also reacts to the film. I mean, it's the first time you show it to people, and you don't, and now you have no reaction. So that's a kind of a weird thing. And of course, you can have a Q&A afterwards. But you know, this just in the moment, how do people react? Do they laugh? Don't they laugh? I don't know. It's just that's a thing I think you can't simulate online. But yeah, but of course, it's great to have this premiere right now. It's of course way better than canceling the festival, but I think that for all of us or most of us, it's kind of a compromise and temporary thing.
Were you less? Sorry, Neil, but I'm just curious if you were less nervous this time, or did you even have a feeling of nervousness, or you know, before the film actually came online? Was there like a?
The screening is tomorrow, so
But,
I don't know.
Yes.
I was not nervous. I was just on my couch streaming something. It was more like that.
Not the festival films then.
No, I mean the festival, but yeah, it was,
yeah.
the whole feeling was so different. Yeah.
Like watching Netflix.
Perhaps Martin, over to you. The same questions. You know, was what went through your mind about, you know, do you wait, or do you do you wait until when a physical festival can happen, and how do you see this in terms of being a?
First of all, I have a very kind of how do you say, a long history with this festival, because I met Daniel before he even kind of made this festival what it is now, and I think it's a big success, and therefore I really was very happy that Concentrate would premiere at this festival, especially, and also because the film is about Vienna, and so I really was very keen that the film would premiere in my hometown. So yes, of course, this is the premiere. And the thing that's a little bit kind of disappointing, of course, but I mean, again, this is not the festival's fault or anyone's fault, is that it's not shown on the big screen, because we really try to make it a cinemascope, how do you say,
cinematic
experience, and also the soundtrack is really made for the big screen, and that, of course, somehow is sad that we can't really reproduce this experience online. But yeah, sure, it's the premiere, and I'm happy that it's premiered at this festival.
Are there future screenings already lined up, and how will that be described? Have you thought about the wording of how the future screenings will be described in terms of premieres, or do you only have one world premiere and it happens to be this time online?
Yeah, that's it. I think very much so.
And maybe to you, Joshua, the same questions. What were your thought processes about waiting or going online now? And do you see this as the world premiere, or is it something else?
No, I mean, for me, it was clear that I wanted to do this now, also as a sign to show the film. And I was very worried because this film is very dark, and the sound is very special, I think, and it was really made for a sound system in a cinema. So I tried to watch it with bad sound. So my mother had a really bad premiere there, but I tried that because I wanted to see how that sounds. But yeah, I mean, of course, the moment I will show this film somewhere in a real cinema, it will feel like a second premiere, I think. And I will hopefully also gather the team at that point. And yeah, and I think also what Rafaela said, to get this atmosphere of how is the audience reacting. That's I mean, to sit in the cinema and have your film screened and basically not watch the film, but watch the audience react to it and look the other way. That feeling is really like, that's somehow key to showing your own film, I find.
Your film is it's a very domestic film, interiors, spaces which are inside houses.
Right.
So in a way, the film, to be forced in a way to watch it, most people are watching it behind curtains drawn and in buildings in Vienna or similar places like this. In a way, it's kind of appropriate, your film. Some of the films that we have are very outdoor films. I mean, Martin's film with the bicycle going around Vienna, you couldn't get more external, but yours is maybe the most intimate and domestic film that we have.
Yeah, so I hope that maybe that had a good effect then, to watch it in similar spaces. That would be so nice.
And you can watch with your whole family, as long as you're not too close.
Right.
Yes, Christoph, for you, what was did you go through a difficult period of decision about whether to wait for an actual cinema room? Just to say that there are cinema rooms open in Vienna as of yesterday. So if anybody wants to see Jojo Rabbit again, chances there.
It was no question for me. I think I could answer with everything what Martin said. The film is is shot in Vienna in the outskirts, and I was happy that the world premiere and the online premiere would be in the hometown in Vienna. Makes totally sense. Yeah, and I mean, I'm working on my films on a very small crew, and for me it's very important to get this feedback at the very end. So for me, the film is not complete yet. I have to see it in a theater and to see the reactions of the crowd and have these Q&As afterwards. So somehow I'm not sure if the film will be in theaters screened anymore, because it's rather special interest, I would say, somehow. But I hope that I will get this feedback, that I have this complete picture of the film.
But it would be your hope that it goes on to other festivals and other screenings.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm not really planning it now, because it takes so much time for, if you're producing your films yourself, if you also spend a lot of effort to get the film to festivals. I chose now to shoot new movies instead of working on the Verwertung. But of course, I hope to get this feeling somewhere else and the reactions of the audience.
And finally, Masha, what was your idea about the process by which showing the film at our festival rather than waiting for a physical event?
Well, I think when I'm as an old school experimental filmmaker, when, witnessing how the whole festival culture was evolving around experimental films, and if your film is accepted to the festival is already great. So the idea of a world premiere or not, or international premiere, it's something maybe even secondary in a sense, but you don't attach too much meaning to that. I mean, if the film is shown, is already great. If it will be shown somewhere else, super. I mean, with the experimental world, especially if you work with the marginal forms or marginal meanings, you don't expect the pick up of the distribution. All this professional world which is attached to the premiere as festival circuit. So for me, it was not a question. I mean, as I said, for me, it was, I really wanted to share my film. I really wanted to support the festival because, that for me, it's a kind of a moment that we can come together. And I also think that the cinema has to be alive. I mean, it will be shown with the other, would I consider a premiere or not? from what I heard from the conversation which happened on Friday, that now the many festivals it's negotiable. You can write to the festival and say, hey, it was online, would you consider? And I think it will be up to the festival to decide if that was a premiere, or they can overlook and say, if it's now it is a premiere. But I think it's also important that, of course, it's great to go to the festival and to be with the audience, as we already said, to kind of feel your film through the eyes of others. But with many festivals, and my film is a short film, and for the short film, you usually the festival don't have budget to invite you over, so your film is shown in an audience, but in a theater, but you cannot be there because it's expensive, especially if let's say it's overseas. And so that element is not a question for me. Whatever it would be shown. Let's say that I have a big film, which is I'm now entering to the festivals, and because it's a 75-minute film with some elements, maybe I will consider to wait until film can be shown in a movie theater, because as we know, with the online streaming, it's very easy to skip, or it is not, you have to hold. I mean, the theater provide you with some kind of a hostage situation, right? People are locked and they cannot leave. I mean, any moment of standing up, it's like a gesture. I mean, you think twice if you want to get up and leave the theater. So I want that kind of as experimental filmmaker, I want that hostage situation. But I will probably consider that for the longer film. But no, I really did not think twice about the online edition.
Let's hope for the Stockholm syndrome then.
Well, I mean, it's as Christoph said, that I mean, there is a films for the theaters, and then there is a film for the artistic spaces, where the idea of a space and how you relate in a space is quite different, right? I mean, in a theater, it's a special settings, and for the gallery, you can go in and out, and the film actually has a different duration, no? So, yeah. Now we have a third space which is called online. And actually, this is what I wanted to Steffi, that when we won Ann Arbor, they were doing it on YouTube. And to question about nervousness. And what our project was with Silvia de Schwadas, it was a film performance. Supposed to be in a film performance, and we did the digital version, and you could see people chatting during watching a film, and that was horrible. And I'm super grateful that all other festivals don't do it, because it's just like, people, like, pull yourself together, look at the screen. No, everyone was chatting, and I basically, like, well, who is it? Oh, this is it. And it's like, my goodness. It's like as if in a screening, somebody will be chatting, having a conversation on a WhatsApp, on a Facebook, or whatever. That was annoying. But I'm happy. But it was also first attempt. So I'm really happy that we are alone with our film screenings, like film streamings, and not the viewers.
Yeah, it was also on the first day when our program was, it was not possible to disable it. You always had to see the screen with the chatting. And yeah, but on the next day, I think they removed it.
It was just when the whole thing started. So, I mean, it was one of the first festivals who went online,
yeah,
like within a week or something. So,
yeah.
Of course, like whatever YouTube offers you, it offers you, but yeah.
But in some way it must be, I mean, I have no idea what the content was of the chats, but I hope it was relating to the things that they were watching, at least.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's a kind of the streaming of consciousness of the audience member, for who, instead of thinking writing immediately. I mean, there is no distance between thinking and writing, and it's a kind of a privilege of you talking during the film instead of take a moment, watch it, think, and then kind of, with delayed analysis.
Which are obviously kind of already the consequences of the online culture and the social media, as we are, it is very tempting, I will not lie, also during some films that I already saw, to check Instagram or to make some pictures or something. And I think it is something that, especially with the online edition, you mean, can you see the situation also from positive sides? So in a way, is it perhaps easier to reach? I mean, we have to say now we had, I think, 1,500 accreditations, or not accreditation, but the tickets sold for this festival. So in a way, let's say that all of these people are watching the program, so this is quite substantial number of people who will be seeing your films, which I think is a bigger number than perhaps physically sometimes. Was it perhaps any of your experiences in these days that were also positive? Or how much are you in social media? This is basically a kind of a cover-up question. Okay, I think this.
Nobody.
Good. Okay. That speaks for speaks for you already. Another question, which I think is very interesting, is so you mentioned, some of you mentioned you are working alone, you're sending the films alone, you're taking care of the distribution. Others, you have producers, or at least you work with the producers. How do you decide now? Are you going to be sending your film to another festivals, perhaps to another online editions? And a sub question to this is, do you intend to send the films to the festivals that don't offer geo-blocking, as Vienna Shorts currently does? Because I guess this is something that was also mentioned many times, concerns of films. Well, with short films, I guess, yes.
No, I just wanted to say that, of course, it depends. I mean, if I don't know, if Venice says they will show it without geo-blocking, then and they want to show you film, then of course you would do it, But if it's not such a high-profile name, then I would have to think about it very hard, and I would need to know why this should be, And I don't think it's a very tempting offer. So. Yeah, I think that the geo-blocking makes a lot of sense, and the second question you had with sending it to festivals that will most likely have online editions. I think the process of sending something to a festival and getting a reply is so long that probably by then there will be physical festivals possible if there is not a second wave at that moment. So I think at this point, at least we are just sending it to festivals, and we don't think about whether it will be online or live. But I think if we would get accepted by a festival that does screen the film or wants to screen the film online without geo-blocking, then we would not accept that. That's my take. But yeah.
I mean, the reason for the geo-blocking is that you are still able to have a premiere in other countries, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know how the other festivals will react. Yeah, I haven't heard from any festival who says, "Oh, during Corona, your film was shown, but it was not geo-blocked, so now we won't take it." Or I mean, it's totally dependent on the festivals and how they react, and yeah, it's just like to be safe, but yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that there is no there's been no agreed policy among festivals. There is no agreement between festivals. There's nothing published. There are no rules here in the world of film festivals. It's a bit of a free-for-all, and everybody does their own thing. And obviously, at the moment, it's an unprecedented situation, and every single festival is dealing with it in a completely different way. I mean, Cannes, as far as I know, still hasn't officially cancelled its festival, but it's kind of obviously not going to happen. So, and often short films seem to get overlooked in all this because people are so busy talking about the big films, the long films, and short films operate in a very different way. And as Masha said, a lot of filmmakers are happy for their films to be out there, to be talked about. But there are other films where there are commercial considerations and there are bigger companies involved, because some people are making their own films, they're self-producing, very independent, low-budget films. And with other films, even short films, there are commercial considerations which festivals like Vienna Shorts have to bear in mind.
And just to add, I mean, there's also this thing that different festivals, they reach different people, right? So, and that just because they have a certain follower group, and therefore it makes a lot of sense to have those geo-blocking ideas, to have the film geo-block, because, I mean, maybe another festival will have a total different viewership that then is possible to see your film. So it's not only about the country, but I think also a lot about the different viewers that it can attract.
And does anybody have any concerns about piracy in terms of geo-blocking and things like that? Is that something that is in your mind?
Very much a friend of pirating, actually. I think that I don't know about the others, but I mean, I never actually benefited from any film I made. I never earned €1. I'm very thankful that there is this kind of funding in Austria, art funding, but to be very honest, I never earned a penny on the movies I made. And so the main interest actually is to have these films spread to as much as possible. And I have no, if someone really is into experimental films and shares them with other people that are into experimental films, I'm very supportive of that. I would really I have nothing against it whatsoever. And I think this is a spirit that goes back to the 1920s, when film clubs were funded, and they kind of they wanted to find distribution channels that are not commercialized. And so if anything like this happens, I'm very much in favor of it, actually. I hope I don't.
So you see it in a way of... Sorry. What did you want to say?
I would not get sued for that now.
No, I actually will support Martin's idea. I mean, of course, that I think if your film as experimental filmmaker is pirated, I mean, it's like a recognition. You're some. I mean, I have only one film being reposted, and I was like, okay, well, let it be. I mean, I of course, there are few films which give you some kind. I mean, of course, it's not a big money, but it's, but right. I wouldn't say for all of us, but we all benefit from film piracy, right? I mean, I hope that nobody will sue me, but one way or another, we all go beyond something which would be available through official distribution. I mean, we won't be able to see cinema in such a scope coming from different spaces where the theaters will not get the films, and so the films which are available online through different sources, and I wouldn't say the word so nobody would get offended. But, and of course, if it's experimental film, it's a completely different issue. I mean, the self-distribution, this is what we have. And usually even the like a light cone distribution sometimes provide you with a link to the film. So, I mean, you don't have to even take it or, you know, J-blocking, it's right there. Mm. And I mean, the only thing is people whoever wants to show you film taking it from, I hope they just will not show it from internet in a movie theater. That's my big hope. But yeah, it will be all right. I personally don't afraid of the pirating.
Considering let's say networking in this way, obviously with the online festival there is a need to somehow make up for the lack of networking opportunities, I guess, which is on, I'm guessing, your minds as much as also the festivals, because everyone benefits from this. I'm very curious if this is something that you thought of, like, what do you see as your options that were offered to you? What do you think is available to you in this moment? Or how would you go around now sourcing emails, or, you know, finding people who might be interested, or are you waiting to be contacted, basically? Do you feel that you can be proactive in this way?
I found that an interesting question, because I asked myself that quite a lot now these days, that it's very difficult. I mean, of course you can maybe have a list or something of people that are participating, that from the industry or something like that, but in general networking happens on the street, right? So it's like you walk from one place to another, or you have a drink together and you end up in the same place at the same time and start talking, and that never really happens on the internet. I mean, that I found interesting in the VVox, that there maybe a little bit of that happened, you know, that you had this conversation and you suddenly ended up with someone in a chat that you really don't have no clue who's on the other side, and you find some common interest and start talking about it. But then you are in a chat where everybody has access to, and you can never reach the other person because maybe it's not even the real name, you know. And so yeah, it's like talking to ghosts.
Something that would offer you basically an option that you can go to the private messaging, similar as to Facebook. Basically, you can just say, meet me in the, you know, the private chat, and then you can continue this interesting conversation.
Yeah, or maybe like a huge overview over who is really there, and somehow a meeting place. That would be something. I mean, if it continues to be like that, for example, in festivals, then that would be a great thing to have, like this huge chat room in a way. This huge chat room where you have all these people and you can talk, but you can also have private conversations, and they are not connected to a film, but they are more like connected to the hub.
So it's this virtual spaces in which you can move sort of in a form of an avatar or something like this, or which yes, there are options of this. But the question,
just to say, we do have the YouTube chat running if anybody wants to talk to us about films or anything else, or invite us for some sort of assignation or rendezvous. The YouTube chat is up and going, so if anybody does have a question for the filmmakers, we can have a sort of simulated Q&A experience. We did actually look into the possibility of having some sort of Sim City cinema where people have little avatars, and then you hire a virtual space in a virtual city, but this virtual space turns out to be more expensive than hiring real space in Vienna, so that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly. That's actually very interesting. No, sorry. Or no, I just wanted to say that what I found interesting was in conversation with other festival people, it was interesting to find out that online solutions quite often are more expensive than real solutions, like in the real world. And that, for example, funders don't have an understanding of that. That funders think, oh, you go online, okay, we cut your budget by 80%. And then the festival people are like, no, wait, making an online solution is going to cost us 3 times more. You don't understand, you know?
Mm.
As everyone is probably also relying on the existing infrastructure already. So you can, you know, imagine you're just using the social media that is already there, or yeah. I guess this is not something that is readily available to festivals or to you as a part of your, you know, promotional strategies.
But I think what Josh here says is an interesting thing, because obviously when people go to a physical festival, they see all the people involved in the production, the projectionists, everybody in the office and everything like that. And when a festival is online, it's as if it's this magical thing that somehow just appears one day. So it's like, oh, it's just an online festival, but it's the same amount as Daniel Ebner said in the introduction of the opening night. It's the same amount of work, just in a different way. So we do hope that that those who support our festival will be aware of that, and it is it's a challenging thing, and we're happy that we're now more than halfway through, and things seem to be going. How do you do it here? Toy. Things seem to be going relatively well. So touching wood. We've got about 10 minutes left. So Bojana, do you have another question for our filmmakers?
I just wanted to point out to the YouTube chat and thank Daniel again, because we had yesterday a little conversation. Joshua, I think, already knows, and that he is promising perhaps something in the fall that, yes, would be actual, perhaps physical way to meet, or perhaps also like show the films again, I think. So this is
He's promising it or suggesting it?
Wishful thinking, I
hope.
No, I think you know, you can ask him yourself, because he is in the chat currently. And also Maria is asking, I think we talked about this a little bit, but is asking about if you will be sending your films to the festival, and what are your wishes for your projects. Perhaps this is a nice wrap up. I wanted to add, perhaps, if you you know, if you are thinking of adapting to the current situation, or perhaps our near future, and thinking of making a more internet friendly films. I'm sorry for this.
Actually, I was actually thinking the opposite. I was thinking to make films less accessible for online, so that they are really in need of a cinema.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As we also saw, I think it was on the case of the Austrian Pavilion, the filmmaker Philipp Fleischmann, that he also decided. I mean, I think it is a very interesting issue. It's an interesting solution in itself, as he then sort of made an analog, digital alternative to the analog film. So, of course, I believe that this is not a solution for everyone to start, somehow parallelly making films. But I'm weird. I guess we're just curious if you are thinking of how to adapt to the new normal, and are you even like you're basically hoping for things to come back to normal as they were before?
I think it's normal has to adapt to us, no? I would twist the equation, and I think it's for me, I mean, it's not celluloid production versus digital or online versus offline. It's a question of the form or the question of the language which you want to develop, your own language, right? And if something is done for one platform or for another space, it's just different question of form and content. So I would say that it's not a question of assimilation. It's a question of just moving forward with, of course, change realities and change experience. I mean, we all went through quite intense, dramatic experience, which of course affects us. But I don't think it's a question that we have to immediately adjust ourselves to the reality, right? Let's wait. Maybe silence could be also an answer, just to wait and see. But I think, no, I'm not going to change. Too old, nothing will change me.
I also think that the form, how you show your film, always needs to fit to the film itself. And for me personally, I'm so much in love with cinema and with this whole black box situation and everything, that I can only think my films in this way. So yeah, I'm not really inspired by this online thing, and I'm not going to make an internet friendly film.
For me, it's also, I'm waiting for normal to come back, but I refuse to accept this as a normal situation, or like this is the new normal. It's, as I already said, for me, a temporary solution, and I hope that things will go back to normal for everybody.
But was the old normal even normal? I doubt it, and I really, I wish that we all were taught a lesson, actually, because it really, the situation at the moment really shows us what, how easily things can be lost. And I mean this also in a very political sense, how freedom can be lost. And my hope, and I know that this is a very naive thought, is that there is a higher awareness of what we actually can miss very easily and what we can lose very easily. And so I think it's not the question what it's now, it's the question how we take this experience and how we kind of what we have learned from it, and how we can make the future even better and safer for the freedom of the arts, or the way we want to express ourselves. So there is a certain subtone here that is kind of regret, but I really want to emphasize the side of hope, and I hope this comes how I can express that in some way.
And who's this is perhaps too hard of a question to talk about in the last 5 minutes, I think, of the conversation. If I'm right, Neil, we still have.
The time is now for 54, so we're sort of coming to the end.
Yes, I just wanted to ask you, who would you like to see, or who do you see as responsible to kind of bring this message that you today talked about, which we can, I think, unify in saying, okay, we want to go back into the cinemas. We are not forgetting the cinemas, and this is our primary space in which we want to see our films. Do you see any, in this time in Austria, as Neil said, cinemas are already opening, so we will see how people are returning to it, but do you see any perhaps good initiatives, something that you like? Were you perhaps paying attention to, I don't know, yeah.
Well, Film Cooperative now opens. We couldn't. Film Co-op was closed, so we are opening again. That's for us a big news that we can go back to the operation one way or another, and actually thinking of outdoor screenings and somehow try to adapt the idea of the social distancing and taking care with the fresh air and with the cinema which is screened, and I think occupy public space in a more direct way than just in the cinema. But
I'm just looking at the Film Co-op Wien website. There's nothing yet about the screenings, but we can.
we just about.
We'll keep. I think that's a good thing to point out, because Film Co-op Wien is a screening series in Vienna, which is kind of deliberately a bit under the radar and a bit on the margin. So I think it needs to be encouraged. So thank you for reminding me, and I'll check the website every 25 minutes. And hopefully
you hit refresh many times.
I think we
will have to work on that. Okay, I got the point.
It's all about promotion. It's all about, even in the experimental world, it's all about promotion. I think we're running out of time, but maybe we're reaching for our glasses. Bojana?
Finally.
Of course, we will use this opportunity to first thank you to come here and talk with us about this hard topic. But mostly, cheers. Cheers to you and cheers to your premiere.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Yes, this was a very welcome refreshment.
Okay, so the festival continues tonight, and again tomorrow, and again on Tuesday. So for those who've had your screenings, the films will be available obviously afterwards for a couple of days to see. For those who are looking forward to their world premieres, we wish you the best of luck, and we thank you for letting have the world premiere of Vienna Shorts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.